Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our call this evening. This is going to be an extraordinary call tonight. We're going to have the pleasure of picking Randy from California's brain. Randy is on our leadership council, runs a very successful business out in California, and we're going to be chatting with him a little bit tonight and see just what makes Randy Randy. And this is going to be interesting, folks. Before we get started, there's something that I want to read to you tonight because I think it's very, very important that you hear this. I sent this out in an email today, but this is absolutely incredible. And the title of it is Vitamins for the Mind, and this is by the late, great Jim Rohn. And it deals with time management. Something will master and something will serve. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Either you run the business or the business runs you. Learn how to separate the majors and the minors. A lot of people don't do well simply because they major in the minor things. Don't mistake movement for achievement. It's easy to get faked out by being busy. You know how true that is. The question is, busy doing what? Days are expensive. When you spend a day, you have one less day to spend. So make sure you spend each one wisely. Sometimes you need to stay in touch, but be out of reach. Time is our most valuable asset. Yet we tend to waste it, kill it, and spend it rather than invest it. No more afford to spend major time on minor things than we can to spend minor time on major things.
Presentation mode is now enabled.
Time is more valuable than money. You can always get more money, but you cannot get more time. Never begin the day until it's finished on paper. Plan your day, folks. Learn how to say no. Don't let your mouth overload your back. Time is the best kept secret of the rich. How true it is. All right, outstanding. We are live tonight. We're going to be talking with Randy from California. Let me give you just a little insight about Randy before we start talking with him. See, I call Randy one of my heroes. Randy was a high school coach, and I don't want to get into his story too much tonight. He was a track coach. And what made me admire him the most, I believe, is one day he got up, he looked in the mirror, and he said, you know what? I'm not spending enough time with my kid. Randy's a single dad. And from that moment, he went to work in Coastal for as much as he could. You can imagine, high school teacher, coach, a child to raise. But Randy was able to walk away from both of those jobs in less than a year. And he did it for his kid. Pretty amazing stuff. I think you're really going to enjoy tonight's interview. Randy is an exceptional person. Well, Randy, let's make sure you're out there. Are you out there tonight, bud?
Hi, sure, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. Well, I've kind of alluded to a little bit of your story. I don't want to steal your thunder, Randy, but it's one of the things that I admire about you the most is the fact that you put something that you loved doing, teaching and coaching, on the shelf so you could spend more time with your kid. I respect that so much. Let's do this, Randy. The first thing that I'd like to do as we get into this is I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your background, a little bit about your personal life, where you came from, things like that.
Sounds good. Before I do that, I just want to give it back to Mike, and you know, he's on the board of directors, and him and his wife Peggy just put in countless hours behind the scenes that we don't even know about, and you know, he says I'm one of his heroes. Well, he's one of my heroes. So I just want to give it back to Mike and say thanks for all that you do. So
thanks, Bud. I appreciate that.
You bet. A little bit about my background. First and foremost, I must say that I'm a believer and follower of Jesus Christ, and I attend a church called Saddleback Church here in Southern California. It's led by a guy named Pastor Rick Warren, who is the author of a book called The Purpose-Driven Life, which a lot of people are familiar with. A lot of churches around the country have done a study on that book. And I am a single dad, and I have a 9-year-old son that I'm raising by myself. And I was a PE teacher and a math teacher and a high school track coach for about 23 years. So that's a little bit about my background.
Fantastic. What did you do besides teach and coach, Randy, before you got into Coastal? Was there anything else earlier in your career that you had experience with?
Well, in about 1993, I believe it was, I was living in Dallas, and I got a phone call from a guy just out of the blue, as a friend of an ex-girlfriend of mine who was living in Kansas at the time. And he said he was expanding his business in my area and wondered if I was open to making any extra money outside of what I was currently doing. And so I said, sure, and we met, and I liked what I saw, and I signed up for his network marketing company. Well, after about 3 years, I hadn't made a dime in that business, but I still loved the network marketing model, which was do some work, find a few other people and train them to duplicate what you just did, and then teach them how to teach others to duplicate themselves. So I really liked the network marketing model. So from 1993 to about 2008, I was involved in about 6 or maybe 7 different network marketing companies. But there was a few problems with those companies. 4 of them were fairly new startup companies, and they ended up going out of business not too long after I got started. But 2 of those were actually in the travel industry, and so I fell in love with this industry. Some of the other problems with some of the other companies, besides being brand new, were, number one, they didn't have a product or a service that had mass appeal. You know, if you're going to be successful in a business, you've got to have a product or a service that either the majority of the people like and want, or a product or service that people need or want to reorder over and over. Some of these companies didn't have any training and support. I mean, if you're going to succeed in a home-based business, you have to have, at the very least, I would say weekly meetings, but even better, probably 2 or 3 trainings every single week. And the reason is people get discouraged easily. You know, they talk to a few people who they know without a shadow of a doubt that these people are going to love their business. And so they call the person up all excited, and what happens? Wham! They get blindsided when the person says no. So anyone want to give a testimony on that? Yeah, I think we've all been there, at one time or another. So after 2 or 3 days of being rejected, people need to attend a training, and they need a motivational lift to boost their spirits. They need some encouragement to get back out there and keep trying and to make that next phone call. Another problem was some of these companies didn't pay very well. Do you know that the number one way to motivate someone to work hard at their business and to continue being excited and showing the business to a lot of other people is? Show them the money, and lots of it. The more they earn and the faster they earn it, the more excited they're going to be to go out there and show other people and tell other people about their business, right?
That is absolutely.
Yep. So there's other factors that a good business must have for its members to be successful, but those were 4 of the major flaws of the first 6 or 7 companies that I was involved in during that time period. And the companies had maybe 2, maybe 3 of those characteristics, but they didn't have all 4 of them.
Certainly, and Randy, you alluded to it. I think we've all been there, done that. We've all been around the horn a little bit and seen what's out there. And anybody with a little bit of experience in that industry, or has been in business for themselves, when they see the Coastal business model. It's just absolutely amazing for anybody that's been around the horn several times. Our biggest problem comes from when we show it to people who are brand new to being in business for themselves. They don't understand the concept. But when you find somebody that's been in other businesses and they can see the difference and how our pay plan works, it makes it a whole lot easier, doesn't it, Bud?
It sure does.
Oh, fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to know that you've been around a little bit. I knew that, but I wanted everybody else to understand that the leaders here in the business just didn't walk in here and step up to the plate and get where they're at today because they got lucky. We've all paid the price, and you say paid the price, but it's really, once you figure it out, it's enjoy the price because you know what's coming in the end.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you, Randy. This is kind of a twofold question. If you'd let everybody know how long you've been in Coastal, and why did you get into Coastal with everything else that's out there? Why did you choose Coastal?
Sure. Well, I joined Coastal in July of 2008, and I actually first came across Coastal in 2006 and really liked what I saw, especially since I'd been involved in the travel industry previously. But I was cautious this time, having been burned so many times before. But I kept the information and kept going back to it about every 6 months or so just to see if Coastal was still in business. And after a couple of years of this, I figured they were for real and they weren't going to go anywhere anytime soon. So I got a hold of someone and joined. And the reason I kept coming back to Coastal and eventually joining was because Coastal, like we said, had all of the important factors that I was looking for and that I just talked about. They'd been in business for, at that time, about 23 or 24 years. They had a product with mass appeal. I mean, almost everyone likes to travel, and they want great deals. I mean, it's the largest industry in the world and currently does about $7 trillion per year. I would call that mass appeal. They had multiple trainings and business presentations, up to about 20 per week, and the payout was huge, and it was immediate, too. I mean, paying a minimum of $1,000 up to almost $10,000 per sale, and you're paid first, even before the company is paid. And I hadn't seen a company that had all four of those factors until I ran across Coastal.
It is amazing when you're first looking at the business. For those of you that are new tonight, you may find it hard to believe that the business really is what it is. A lot of times that is our biggest problem we have in showing the business, is making people understand that, yes, it really is true, that you really can travel the world for pennies on the dollar, and you can make a fortune just sharing that with other people. And, Randy, some of the things that you said were the exact same things that drew me to this business. The fact that you got paid before the company. And if you're new, what that means is your customer is going to send you the check, and you get to take your money out first and then order their package from the shipping center, and they go ahead and ship it for you. You don't even have to fool with that if you don't want to. So that had great appeal to me, as I was in many businesses before that you had to warehouse products and then ship them out. And for somebody to do that for me, all that paperwork, all that nonsense that most businesses have to put up with and you don't, that's incredible. And the amounts that we make, like Randy alluded to, the minimum we make is $1,000, folks. I mean, I've been in businesses where you'd make $5 on a product, $50 on a product. You got to merchandise a whole lot of product to get up to $1,000. And then when you look at the $10,000 that we make, $9,705 to be exact, think of how many of those $5 or $50 sales you have to make to get to that point. It's just incredible. So the believability factor, what we've got our hands on here, sometimes is a real detriment because people just think it's too good to be true. I know that's the first thing I looked at, and the first thing I thought, I kept trying to find the hole. Where's the hole in the boat? This can't be true. There's got to be something wrong with it. And the more I looked, the more I sold myself. And I'll bet you felt the same way, didn't you, Randy?
I sure did. Absolutely.
Well, fantastic. Okay, let me ask you this. There's probably a lot of new people on the call tonight, as always, and what a veteran like yourself, what is your favorite way to do the coastal business, and why?
Well, there's so many ways you can earn money with coastal, and since there are probably a bunch of new people, on the line, let me first just highlight some of these different ways. Number one, you can build a team of people and help them, build their team and, become a director. And this is how I did the business for the first year and a half and how most people get started. Number two, you can do fundraisers and help various types of groups or athletic teams or what have you raise money and use the vacations and the memberships as incentives or prizes. Another way, you can do home parties by giving away complimentary vacations in your house. Invite a lot of people, friends and family over and just have a good time, give away some complimentary vacations, and then show them the business plan. Another way, you can go to business owners and show them how they can give away complimentary vacations to increase traffic and get more customers, or to retain customers by giving away, the vacations as a thank you for doing business with them, or to motivate their employees or sales force to work harder. For example, the employee of the month or the top salesperson of the month wins a cruise or an 8-day, 7-night vacation, things like that. And another way, you could go to bridal shows and show these women or these couples how they can take the money that they've been saving for a honeymoon anyways and purchase one of our packages and receive a lifetime of honeymoons, for the price of just one. And lastly, you can go to travel shows and travel conventions and, set up a booth there and get the names of people and their phone numbers, by giving away complimentary vacations every 30 minutes or so. But these people are, they're specifically looking for great travel deals, and they have the money to travel or they wouldn't be there in the first place. And so when you leave, either the bridal show or these travel shows, you have hundreds or possibly thousands of leads that you can be calling, over the next few weeks. And so, excuse me a minute. Sorry about that. So there's, that's just 6 different ways that you can do your coastal business to earn money. And what's great about it is you can focus on 1 or 2 ways that interest you the most, or you can mix it up with a few different ways, every few days or every few weeks or even every few months. It's your business. It's your choice. If you feel like, one way is starting to get a little old or stale and you want to try something different for a change of pace, and then switch it up for a while, just mix it up. So now, Mike, back to your question. My favorite way to do coastal is, well, first of all, I have to say I haven't tried all the different ways, even though, I plan on, doing a few more here in the near future. But right now my favorite way is doing fundraisers, and primarily, with athletic teams and school groups. And that's basically because, I've been a coach and a teacher for the last 23 years, and I have a sense, for what, these teams and groups, want and need out of a fundraiser, and I can relate easily to the coaches and the teachers there. But what I want to try next, though, is the bridal shows and the travel conventions, because I think those could be a gold mine.
It is amazing, Randy, just how many different ways that we can do the business. The diversification is second to nothing that I've ever seen out there. My hobby used to be just to look at different businesses. That was my pastime, if you can believe that or not. And as I said many times, Peg can verify that I had a room just stacked full of information about just about every business and pay plan that existed out there. And for the fact that I settled with Coastal after researching practically every business on the planet should speak volumes to anybody that's new on the call right now. But one of the big things, it was just like you were talking about, is the diversification. So many ways to do the business. In most home-based businesses or in any job even, you're pretty much set in to one way of doing things, and it can be really, really boring. as you well know, Randy, we've been taught that it's probably best to learn how to do the business 2 or 3 ways. That way, if one of them goes stale for you for a little while, or you just get tired of doing it that way, you can jump right into the next. And that was great teaching that we received on those lines. It is great to be able to go ahead and switch up and change horses. You get tired of the same thing all the time. You know, my main staple is live dials. I love doing live dials, but you know what? After being in the house for 4 or 5 days, it's always nice to get out and just go meet people. That's one of the ways that I like to do the business. I like to just go out and go shopping and talk to individuals out there and see what they're looking for in life, and see if you can help them. And that's what it all boils down to. We're in the travel business, folks, but we're in the business of helping people. And we have such a phenomenal vehicle to be able to do that, from just helping people save money on travel to helping them change their whole lifestyle, their income situation, their whole being. It's just amazing. The more you learn about this business, the more you're going to see what an incredible venture this will be for you. Just outstanding. I do appreciate you mentioning all the different ways to do coastal there. It's absolutely amazing, Randy. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of people don't even realize it. They just think, well, I'm going to get in and build a team of people, and that's it. So most people might not even realize that there are so many different ways.
Exactly, and it's always good that we bring that out in the calls, because you know, some people may not want to get on the phone and make live dials all day, but they sure wouldn't mind going to a function somewhere and passing out free vacations and talking to people about a business venture. There's something here for everybody, I guess, is our point tonight. No matter what you're doing, what you like to do, Coastal Vacations has a spot for you. There's no question about it. Again, thanks for bringing all those to light, Randy.
You bet.
Well, you're pretty experienced now, Randy. You've been able to leave your full-time positions and everything. Let me ask you this for the new people. What kind of tips can you give someone that would like to do the business doing the fundraisers like you do?
Well, you know, fundraising is a whole topic in and of itself, and I could probably give a whole hour or two just on everything involved with it, what I've done step by step, all the paperwork involved that I use, you know, things like that. So what I would suggest is go into the COA back office and look up the information there at your own leisure. And I mean, there's info there that I've added, along with information from other directors who've done some fundraising as well. And then use the ideas there to formulate your own game plan, and then add anything different that you find works so that other reps can use it as well. So, you know, that's what we do here. Like Mike said, we're continually helping each other by sharing what works so that the next person can experience success. So
that's good sound. There is just a multitude of training in all areas of our business there, Randy, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Our COA sites with the back office are just absolutely incredible. I always recommend to the people that I get started that that's the first step that they do, is they get those websites with the back office, because if you do that, folks, it's going to make your job as a trainer so much easier, because there's so much back there that people can go to and figure some things out on their own. Now, when you're first starting a business, that's not real important, because you might only be working with 1 or 2 people. But as you grow in the business and you've got hundreds of people in your group, you want to be able to shuffle people to information more than sit and have to train people after people after people. It's just absolutely incredible. So that's great advice. Again, I appreciate it, Randy. Okay. Here's one that I always like to ask all the successful people in Coastal. What's the one thing, Randy, that you'd recommend to people in Coastal that has contributed most to your success? What's the one thing that stands out?
Well, besides having a personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ and reading the Bible, There's actually two things I'd like to recommend. Number one is stay plugged into as many of the training calls as possible every week. And that way you can learn all the specifics about all the different ways that, you can work your business, just like we're talking about. And number two, and probably most importantly, though, is read or listen to at least 15 minutes of positive motivational material every day from people like Gary Eby, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, Doug Firebaugh, Jeffrey Combs. I mean, the list is endless. It's said that you become like the 5 people that you hang around the most, and the books you read and what you listen to. Isn't that true? So, how many of us are parents? I mean, don't we keep an eye on what kind of kids, what kind of friends our kids are hanging out with, and what type of music they're listening to? I mean, of course we do. If they're hanging around druggies and partiers and listening to heavy metal music, that's who they're going to eventually become. If we want them to become athletes or musicians and get good grades, we put them in things and around people with similar interests like that. If we want them to have the same spiritual beliefs as us and have good morals and character values, we put them around people and families that have those same beliefs, right? So it's no different with you and I. If you want to be a fired-up, laser-focused, self-motivated, goal-oriented, financially free person, then you've got to hang around with and read from and listen to people who are fired-up, laser-focused, self-motivated, goal-oriented, and financially free. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense, Randy, and that's something that we teach here at Coastal, and it's absolutely true. You will become like the people that you associate with. And by that, I don't mean just the relationships that you have with people, although that's very strong indeed. But it's also what you're putting in your head every single day. If you're watching 8 to 10 hours of TV a day and you're watching the soap operas, with all their precarious going-ons there and everything that TV has. You're watching murders, you're watching this, you're watching that, and then you spend 2 minutes in a positive mode. Where do you think you're going to end up, folks? Your brain is absolutely amazing. It will lead you wherever you program it. And here's the good news to that. You can program it. And Randy just hit on the key to success. If you want to be broke, hang out with broke friends. They'll be the first ones to tell you that you're wasting your time. You can't do that thing called Coastal because they can't see themselves doing it, because they have a very low self-esteem. And they don't want you rising to the top. They'd rather grab a hold of your heels as you start to rise and hold you down and tell you over and over again that you can't make it. They'll laugh at you. What makes you think you can do that? Well, folks, let me tell you why you can do this, why you can be successful. Because God didn't make any junk. He gave us all what we need to be successful. It's just that simple. And although this isn't a religious ceremony tonight, I have to tell you, I'm like Randy. I believe that God intervenes in our lives, and we make choices. Sometimes we make good ones. Sometimes we make bad ones. But here's the good news. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you've been. It's where you're going that counts. But you have to figure out the path to get there. And what Randy's trying to make sure that you understand is that you make choices every day of what you put in your head. And if you put bad things into your head, bad things are going to become. If you put good things into your head, good things will happen. You get to choose, and that's the great thing about it. The bad thing about that is you get to choose. You're the one that has to make that call. A lot of us preach we want to be successful, we want to make a lot of money, but what do? We hang out with broke people that are totally negative. Folks, that's not going to cut it. They'll just tell you the black and white of it. So you don't know a millionaire, but you really do. All you have to do is get on these calls. Anytime you hear Al, you know a millionaire. All you have to do is listen to him talk. As Randy alluded to, there are many, many, many great speakers out there that will absolutely get you where you need to be. Find one that you can relate with, and then read their books, listen to their tapes, watch their DVDs, and don't use I'm broke as a cop-out, folks, because many of these people have freebies right on their websites. Many of them you can go to YouTube. Like if you want to just type in Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar, Gary Eby, you'll find free information right on YouTube that you can listen to. You can always find an excuse not to do something. What you need to do is find an excuse to make sure you do it. You know, Randy mentioned Zig Ziglar, and Zig is one of my heroes. He's 85 years old now. He had a fall not too long ago, and his short-term memory is pretty shot. But he still gets on stage with the help of one of his daughters and speaks to crowds of thousands of people, still helping people at age 85. Did he do that because he watched a lot of TV and listened to a lot of junk? I don't think so, folks. I don't think so. Randy, thanks for sharing on that subject. That's incredible. I appreciate it so much.
You bet.
Okay. This is something that new people always want to know from all the leaders, and it's something that we all do a little differently. So let me ask you, how do you get people to contact when you want to approach them about the coastal business? How do you personally do it?
Well, the primary way, if I'm looking to build a team, I use the lead vendors in our back office there, and I've tried all three of them. I believe there's three back there right now, and I've tried all three of them, but the ones I'm currently using are the leads from Responsive Data. If you're short on money, there's a whole number of other ways that you can, find leads of people just passing out business cards, to people just opening your mouth. Sometimes we forget to do that. I mean, that's one of the greatest ways is just talking with people. In fact, I just ran across somebody, I believe it was yesterday, 2 days ago, and they said, well, what do you do for a living? And I know now. I was at the water park. It was on Saturday with my son, and I just happened to be sitting next to a guy, an older guy. He had his grandkids there, and we're talking about, what he does. He travels around the world 6 months out of the year for his job, and then he's off for 6 months. I said, well, you do a lot of traveling. And so he was telling me about that, and then he asked, well, what do I do? And I said, well, I work with a travel company, and we, market travel memberships, there's lifetime memberships that give people traveling all over the world for pennies on the dollar. And he says, oh, you do, huh? Do you have a card on you? And no, I didn't. I was at the water park, so I didn't carry one on me, in my wet shorts there. But we did exchange phone numbers, and I gave him the website, the Coastal Travel Package website. And, so I don't know if he's going to go to it, but he sounded very interested. It sounded like he was filthy rich. And so, who knows what might become of that. But the point is, you just got to open your mouth. And, that's one way to find people is just by telling people what you do. But, the primary way is, I purchase the leads from our back office.
Fantastic. I appreciate that, Randy.
I was going to say, now, if you want to work your business, one of the other ways, like, doing fundraisers or business or what have you, then there's other ways to find people to contact for those, types of things. But, that's where the trainings come in. So, that's why they're so important.
Excellent. And, I'm like you. I like Responsive Data leads. They're pretty good. one of the reasons I like them so much is that the one particular type of lead that you get is they're instantaneous. As soon as that person signs up to get information for a home-based business, that lead is put right into your back office, and you actually get a notification that that person has been to your website. So you could be calling that person while they're still on your website, and that gives you just a whale of a lot of credibility. I always make a joke of it and tell them, well, yeah, that's not too bad service, is it? And they crack up and, of course, say, no, that's pretty good service. And then we always go on to explain to them how that works, and it's very impressive to people that they can see themselves talking to somebody right away that's interested right at that second instead of 2 or 3 weeks down the road. So I utilize those myself. I also use some of the other leads from some of the other vendors. They've all got leads in there that I like. But what Randy was saying too, if you're monetarily challenged when you get into the business, man, there's nothing wrong with just talking to people. That's one of my favorite ways to do the business, just to go out in the marketplace, and I may just go in and look at carpet and talk to a carpet salesman, kind of feel him out, see if he's really got the right stuff, and then approach him, ask him how long he's been doing carpet. And he'll tell you, or she'll tell you, and you say, well, that's fantastic. Have you ever thought about being in the travel business? Well, who in their right mind hasn't thought about being in the travel business? It's glamorous. Everybody loves to travel, and they know people in the travel business get great perks. And, it doesn't take much to start a conversation like that. And as Randy was talking there, if you picked up on it, Randy asked a question, then he shut up and let this guy talk. That is a great training right there for you, folks. You see, a lot of times we get in the habit of asking a question and then trying to answer it for people. We want to talk. Sometimes we talk too much. I always use the old rule of thumb that God gave us one mouth and 2 ears for a reason, that we need to listen twice as much as we talk. And you'll find that if you become a good listener, you're going to make a lot of friends out there, because people just they don't get that, where somebody's really attentive and listen to what they say. I've had many people that have become friends just because I took the time to listen to them. Not only in the business world, but in my personal life. If you'll just utilize that one simple thing that Randy was telling you there, is ask the question and then listen. Let them talk. People love to talk about themselves. Believe it or not, I know this is going to hurt your feelings, but they really don't want to hear a lot about you. They want to hear about them. People love talking about themselves and what they do. So listen. If you'll do that, you'll make a friend, and you just might make a sale. Because as we all know, the first step is you've got to get people to like you. That's the very first step in making any sale. They've got to like you. They're not going to do business with you, folks, if they don't like you. But really, that's not enough either. They need to learn to trust you. So you might make a sale on the first call every once in a blue moon. And by the way, folks, I'm still waiting to see that blue moon. You have to win their trust also. And make a friend, win their trust, and then is when you're going to be able to close the sale. But great stuff there, Randy. No wonder you're so darn successful. That's outstanding. I appreciate it. Okay. Here's one that everybody likes to ask, Randy, and we all do this differently, and it depends upon how we're doing the business and everything. But just pick one avenue of how you do the business and kind of walk us through the process that you put your prospects through so that they get the information that they need about our products and business.
Sure. Now, if I say something that's different than what your director's teaching you, then of course, ask your director or go with what your director says, but this is just how I do it and what's worked for me. After my initial call to somebody, if I feel that they might be someone that I might want to work with, then I'll send them to the Coastal Income site and tell them to click on steps 1, 2, and 3 and watch those short video clips. And I'll also give them the phone number for the testimony line. I'll then set a time to either call them back later that day or the next day, and if they've done those 2 steps and they're still somewhat positive, then I'll give them the next step of information, which would be the recorded PowerPoint business presentation, and try to get them on the next live business presentation. So I try to get them to commit to being on that next live business presentation, which is would preferably be that evening if there is one. I'll then set up another time to follow up with them again, and either right after that call or the next day.
Fantastic. So what you're telling me here is this is a multi-step process. You just don't show them the website and say, okay, you're ready to buy.
Right, absolutely. It usually takes probably minimum 3-4 times, sometimes even longer than that, before they trust you enough to want to do business with you.
Fantastic. And that kind of runs into our next question that I wanted to ask, and that's what people always ask me. How many times do you follow up with a prospect? What's your average? I know it differences with different people, but what would you say is your norm as you're following up with people?
As long as they keep answering the phone, and we continue having a good discussion, then I'll keep following up until and give them another piece of information. If they're not ready to join at that time, then I'll give them another piece of information, and I just keep following up and giving them more pieces of information until they either join or they tell me that they're not interested anymore and to stop calling them. And if they're not answering the phone anymore, that kind of gives you a clue that they're probably not interested. But if they're not answering anymore, and I've left 3 or maybe 4 messages over a 2 or 3 week period, and they're not returning my phone calls, then on that last message, then I let them know that this will be my last call to them unless I hear back from them. If someone thinks you're desperate for them to join or you need them, then they're not going to join. People want to join with someone who's a leader and who they perceive as going somewhere and who's going to be successful with or without them. Then they'll join with you. So I only leave about 3 or maybe 4 messages if they're not answering the phone anymore. And because that's telling me they're probably not interested, and they just don't want to tell me to my face. And I let them know that it'll be my last call to them unless I do hear back from them. And then after that, I just let the COA autoresponder system continue sending out automatic emails for me.
Outstanding. Let me tell everybody that's on the call right now, Randy, that you just gave them one of the absolute true keys to success. And that is follow up until they show no interest. As long as they're asking questions, as long as they're answering the phone, folks, they're still interested. They may not jump up and say, hey, I'm ready to buy, or, oh, gosh, let me in. I want to make that money right away. I always tell the people that I train to look back and remember what it felt like to be in their shoes. Nobody wants to be sold. They want to buy. And that's key. If you'll just let them go through the process, keep in touch with them, and get them new bits of information, because you never know what is going to be that one little thing, and it differs for everybody. But as long as you keep giving them one more piece of information, like Randy just told you, this was a multi-million-dollar call, folks. I hope you can appreciate the information that Randy is imparting to you tonight. He's speaking from his heart, from his soul. He's not holding anything back, and he just gave you one of the keys to being successful in this business or any business, and that is the follow-up. Most people will contact somebody once or twice, and if they don't jump right in and say, hey, this is the best thing I've ever seen, let me in, they move on to the next person. Randy just gave you the key to success. I hope you can appreciate that, and thank you so much for sharing that. That's outstanding. Okay, we got to move on because I've got a few more questions here, and we're getting close to the top of the hour. You know, we're talking about the follow-up, Randy, and I think a lot of people would like to know how you personally follow up. Do you phone them? Do you email? Do you send them cards? Just kind of elaborate about your follow-up process. What exactly do you do?
Well, after my initial conversation with the person, I usually follow up with a video email using the iJot system. And, you know, when they can see you and put a face to a name and a voice, then it becomes much more personal. And so I'll send them a 30-second iJot video just saying it was nice talking with them, and I look forward to talking with them again at the designated time and day. You know, it's always a good idea to set a specific time and day that you're going to call them back to answer any questions. You know, that way, otherwise, you're not putting any urgency on going through the information, and it'll end up being, you know, a week or two before they actually get around to it. I then follow up on the designated time and day. I give them a call back and answer any questions that they might have and see if they're ready to join. And if not, then I'll give them another piece of information, and this may go on, like we said, for a few days, even a few weeks, you know, just to get to know each other. You know, it's about, like you said, Mike, it's about building a relationship with someone until they get all the information they need and they trust you enough to want to go into business with you. But all the while I'm following up by phone with them, then you know, my COA autoresponder system is sending them emails following up with them as well. So
outstanding. I appreciate that. And you touched on something there, Randy, that I utilize myself, and it is such a big part of my business, and that's video email. And I'll tell you, there isn't anything quite like it for people to be able to get to know you. If they can see you, and you can look right into that camera as if you were talking to them and deliver a message to them, and they can see the sincerity on your face. You can put your body language to work for you. You can't do that just in a regular email. So the video email is a big part of a lot of the people who are really successful in the coastal business because it's just an outstanding tool. And you can find out about all of our tools tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing a tool call. You can use the same number, same passcode, and we'll actually get into that iJot system that Randy was talking about. It's incredibly affordable, and I don't know how I would do business without video email in these times. It just gives you that winning edge that most people overlook. It's just incredible. Appreciate that. That's outstanding. Okay. When you get ready, you've kind of felt the person out, and you're getting ready to try to close them. And by closing them, I mean opening a relationship with them. You're getting ready for them to make a decision. What do you say to a person, maybe to trial close them, Randy?
Well, this is after they've gone through, I've given them the coastal income side and the testimony line. I got back with them. They were still positive. I asked them, would you like the next step of information so you can continue your research and see how you'll actually get paid? And if they say, yeah, then I'll give them the PowerPoint business presentation that you put together. I'm not even sure what to call it. And then try and get them onto the live call as well. So then after giving them those bits of information, then that's where I'll get back with them either right after that live call or the next day at a designated time. So you want to role play with me for a minute?
Certainly.
Okay. So this is after they've gone to the coastal income side, they listened to a testimony line, and I followed up, and then I've also given them the recorded business presentation and the live call. So hopefully they've gone to at least one of those. Hopefully both. So okay, here it goes. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Mike, this is Randy Reason with Coastal. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Randy. Glad to hear from you.
Hey, sounds good. Hey, those were great business presentations, weren't they?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I absolutely loved how that was put together. It was very informative. It let me know about the product and the actual pay plan. That was incredible, actually.
Were you able to get on both the PowerPoint one and the live one last night?
I got on the PowerPoint one, but something come up and I missed the live presentation last night.
Okay, that's no problem. Great. What do you like about what you saw or heard on that PowerPoint presentation?
Oh, wow. I love the fact that I'm going to be able to travel for pennies on the dollar. That's incredible. Some of the places that you can go with that, it blew my mind. Incredible. Is this thing real?
A lot of places, huh?
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, for real. I've been on some of the trips, and the company's been around for 26 years. If it's not for real, I think some of my even the slowest attorney general in the slowest state probably would have shut him down by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I sure do.
So yeah, it's absolutely for real, and the vacations are awesome. So anything else that you liked?
Oh, I love the pay plan. Did I get that right? The least we make would be $1,000, and we could make all the way up to $9,705.
Absolutely. Can you believe that?
Man.
And did you catch the point that you're actually paid first before the company's even paid? I mean you're paid directly from your customers.
Yeah, I did catch that. How does that work? They actually your client sends you the check?
Yeah, they send you the check, you keep your commission out of it, and then you send the rest of the money into the company, and then the company sends your customer their travel package. So unbelievable, huh? Oh,
yeah, no shipping. I don't even have to worry about that then.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, Mike, let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is you love what you see and you want to get started as soon as possible, and 1 being you're not the least bit interested, where would you rate yourself at this time?
Well, Randy, after what I've seen, I'd have to tell you I'm at 100.
Fantastic. So you see how you can make money with Coastal.
Oh, definitely. I mean, who wouldn't want this package?
So I know that. I mean, I'm speechless. I mean, everybody once they see this, I mean, it's like it sells itself, is what I'm trying to say. So you see how you can make money, and you want to make money with Coastal. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, certainly, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Well, this may be a stupid question at this point then, but since you do want to make money with Coastal, how soon would you want to start making it?
Well, I'd be a fool to say anything but right away, Randy. I mean, this is incredible.
And what level, Mike, do you see yourself coming in at? The premier level, which is the level 2, or the platinum level, which is the level 3?
Well, Randy, I'll tell you, I would love to be able to get checks in the mail where I get to keep $9,705. Man, if you just did one of those a month, that would be incredible. So I definitely want to get started with that. What do you call it, the platinum package?
The platinum, absolutely. Yeah,
that's I want to get started.
Great. Okay, great. Now, have you set aside the money to be able to start your business?
You know, I haven't got quite enough to start at that level, but I'll tell you this. I've already put some things in play to get the money put together so that I can start at that level. I see the potential here.
Okay, fantastic. So, and then what I do is I would just exchange phone numbers. Exchange addresses with them, and have them. Well, that's actually another question, I believe. So. Yeah,
outstanding. Appreciate it. That is great. And sometimes, folks, that's just as simple as it works. You're going to find some people that see this business opportunity for what it really is, and even though they may not have the money sitting in their checking account, they understand the principle. They see what this thing is really all about, and they're going to go find the money no matter what it is. Now, sometimes... Go ahead, Randy.
I was going to say, what I would do at that point is I would ask them, well, what if you say, well, how much could you put down towards that platinum package? Or what could you give me as a down payment? And then and then I can let you pay the rest of it off a month later, and I'll still be able to give you that $1,295 discount. So
fantastic. That's a great way to do that. You see what you can get, and if it works for you, then you can do it. And let me make sure everybody understands. We're not discounting the package. What we're doing is we're just going ahead and allowing them to put a down payment down, and they're still going to spend the full amount for it because we don't want to shortcut our commissions. Who in their right mind wants to not make $9,705? So that's a great way to close them, Randy, like that, so that you can actually get them committed. You can get them their package ordered and be ready to go with them with a commitment that they're going to pay the other. Let's say I was going to give you $8,000, and then they have to come up with $3,000 in a month. I've done that myself, and it works very well. So that's great training, Bud. I appreciate it.
Now, if someone, you said you're at I asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, you said you're, off the chart there, and you want to get started immediately. Not everybody's going to say that, of course.
Amen.
And but if they tell me they're a 9 or 10, then I'm going to continue my questions. So you see how you can make money? Do you want to make money? Those type of questions. What level do you see yourself coming in at? If they give me like a 6, 7, or an 8, then that means they're interested, but they still got some questions, they still have some concerns or whatever. So I'll give them another step of information. Like in your case, then I'd say, well, it sounds like you still have some questions. What I'd like you to do next then is to get on the live call that you missed, because that might help you, answer the questions that you still have, or answer their concerns or whatever. So I would give them the next step of information and then follow up with them again. If they give me a 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, then they're basically telling me they're not interested. Okay? And so I would give them another piece of information and just tell them, hey, if you see an interest, go through the information. If you see an interest, then give me a call, but I'm not going to waste any more time on them. Because if they've gone to the coastal income side, watched the movies, they've listened to the testimony line, and they've watched or listened to at least one of those business presentations, and they're only a 5 or below, I'm not going to waste any more time with them. So,
yeah, fantastic. That's excellent training. I appreciate it. Well, Randy, I've still got questions, but we're out of time. But what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is I'd like to open up the line and see if anybody has any questions for you. That'd be okay?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, fantastic. I'm going to open up here.
Presentation mode is now disabled.
All right, folks, anybody out there tonight that has a question or a comment, please just give us your first name, the state, province, or country that you're from. Any questions or comments?
Hello, this is Alexander calling, Mexico City.
Alexander, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, great. Okay, Randy, congratulations for sharing your tactics.
Thank you.
There is a question here, Randy. When you're using this tactic of offering the down payment and then closing the sale by telling this prospect that if you can pay as soon as possible, maybe I can get you the discount of $1,295. So how can you say that if you already told him that the price is $11,000? Or what you do is to tell him the three prices separately, which is $1,295 and then $3,500.
Alexander, you're picking up really fast.
Domestic, international, and the universal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Mike, can you translate that? Because I didn't get hardly anything.
You're breaking up really bad, Alexander. If you can hear us.
Oh, that's because I'm calling for internet. So, never mind. I will make the question in person. Thank you, Mike. Back to you.
All right. Sorry about that. Anybody else out there that has a question?
Sandy from Montana.
Sandy, go ahead.
I contacted you last week and wanted to know how to get an email to somebody to see if I could get my director's release. And you gave me a website, and it was coastal@coanetwork.com, and I can't get through.
Okay, it's not a website, Sandy. It's actually an email address. So
right.
Just create an email and send it to coastal@coanetwork.com. You have the correct one, but you just put that in an email as to where you're going to send it and put all the pertinent information that we told you to in there. We'll be more than happy to help you. So that's actually, that's an email that you want to send. I'm sorry if you misunderstood that. If you'll just send us an email with the information, what you need, what you're looking to do, make sure you give us a contact number in case there's anything that we need to contact you about. Someone on the board will get back with you and help.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. We're just about out of time here. Anybody else, real quick?
This is Sean in Georgia.
Sean, go ahead, please.
Hi. Exactly how do I profit from the fundraising?
There's various ways that you can do that. Randy, the expert here, would you like to go ahead and field that question?
Sure. And then we're at the top of the hour, so I'm going to make it quick. But basically what I do is I have the people in the group, the athletes or the team members or the group members, sell raffle tickets. Now there's some new fundraiser cards that are different from what I'm telling you, but the way I've done it in the past is I have the people sell raffle tickets for, say, $20 each, and each person that purchases a raffle ticket from one of these team members, they automatically get a 3-day, 2-night complimentary vacation that I give them out of my package. So they're getting something for their, for purchasing the ticket there from the team member. I then put all the tickets into a big drawing, and then we have a big night and refreshments and stuff. And then at the drawing, then I give away some cruises, some 4-day, 3-night vacations, some 6-day, 7-day, 6-night vacations. But then the grand prize winner gets a lifetime, the level 1 membership. Okay. The way you would benefit then is the organization. They're going to keep, and you can make these numbers any way you want. But what I do is the organization keeps 70% of the profit that they've sold from those $20 tickets, and then you get the other 30%.
Okay.
So if a group of 100 people, if they even sell 3 tickets each, just say 3 to be conservative, at $20 each, that's $6,000 that the team brought in, and 30% of that you would keep $1,800, and then the organization would keep the other $4,200, which would be the 70%. But then I also the cost of the level 1 package I take out of their profit, not out of your own profit.
Okay.
Outstanding, Randy. Appreciate that. And just for everybody that's out there, there's just a multitude of training in the COA back office and focus on all the different aspects of the business. So go in there and you can figure all this out. There's just training after training call in there. Okay? All right, Randy, thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate your expertise and the time that you've given us and to be able to share with us. I appreciate it so much, bud.
You bet. In fact, we're barely even halfway through the questions here. If you want to continue on another night, I'd be happy to continue on if you'd like sometime.
Outstanding. We'll do that. We'll get in touch and we'll actually do that. That'll be great.
Sounds great. Hey, thanks for letting me share.
All right. Thanks so much.
You bet.
Presentation mode is now enabled.
All right, everybody. My apologies for going over just a little bit if you're waiting on the business presentation. We just had an absolute phenomenal training call right before this call. I hope that you got a chance to listen to some of it. It was incredible. Randy is a very successful director in our coastal business, and he was sharing from the heart tonight about some really pointed questions that people ask. So, again, Randy, thank you so much for your time with that. All right, now I have the pleasure of introducing a fabulous young lady that is just setting the business on fire up in the great country of Canada. She lives in Ontario, Canada, and I'll tell you what, you're in for a real treat tonight to be able to listen to this gal. She is an incredible leader in coastal. What do you say about Laura? Except that once you get to know her, you can't help but to absolutely love her. She's just a great person, an unbelievable businesswoman, and you're blessed tonight to be able to hear from her. You know, one of the things that you'll learn in this business, folks, is it's a lot more than just a business. We consider everybody on these calls as a part of our family. As a matter of fact, I call Laura my Canadian daughter, and she calls me Dad. We're really not related, but as we've kidded around and everything, we kind of wonder if we're really not related. But at any rate, you're in for a treat tonight. She's going to give you a little information about our product, our business plan. She's going to answer any questions you have. She's going to let you hear some testimonies from some of the other directors. So you're in for a real treat. So with that being said, Laura, are you out there tonight?
Yes, I am.
All right, fantastic. Go ahead and take the call, dear.
Thank you so much for that introduction. That was an absolutely awesome introduction, Dad, and very heartfelt also. Thank you. And I do want to say before I start this call, if you guys and gals missed that absolutely awesome call that was done previous, the training call, interview